This Reddit post has got a whole lot of attention. Lighty reposted it. As someone who has put considerable research into how to be tanky, it's a several-fold problem. Armor is ineffective due to the presence of overwhelm and extra damage. As extra, too many damage sources of spells or uncategorized, minimizing the effect of evasion. The uniques that make your character tanky are all extremely rare, tier 1 or tier 0 uniques typically. The number of ways you reduce elemental damage taken is way too small and keeps getting smaller. Goodbye Flask effect. Damage penalties for achieving consistent and powerful feeling of survivability is steep. Tremendously, unbelievably steep. So, how do you get tanky in PoE in 2024? 95% plus fizz taken from hits converted to Ellie. 100% suppression. 90 max res. 75 chaos res. Enough recovery to recover your entire health / energy shield pool in less than a second. Preferably through instant recovery that cannot be reduced or prevented. 50 plus reduced damage taken from crits, immunity, freeze, shock, bleed, poison, ignite, and CB. If you're missing a single one of these things, it feels like you die constantly to seemingly random things outside of your control. Doesn't matter if you have other layers of defense. You can have 20 trillion armor and still get one shot by an overwhelm rare with extra crit damage. You can have 20 trillion evasion and 95% chance to block attacks and spells and still die because you're unlucky or to detonate dead, which, fun fact, isn't a spell. Without those 6 things, you can die to any random rare at any time. This feels like a slight exaggeration. I think what this dude wants is a build that doesn't die no matter what you do. Like, you can just play badly, you can just not pay attention, you can click all alters, you can just run all map mods. Firstly, uniques that make your character tanky are extremely rare, tier 1 or tier 0. Taste of Hate, tier 2 unique. Lightning Coil, tier 3 unique. Extremely rare, tier 1 or tier 0. I assume he's talking about Defiance of Destiny, obviously, and like Mage Blood. The number of ways to reduce elemental damage taken is way too small. I assume what this person's talking about is less cold damage, like those kinds of mods, less damage taken, but resistance? Resistance is a way of taking less elemental damage. Enough recovery to recover your entire health energy shield pool in less than a second. This person is like here. This person's like currently peaking. They're at the peak of the Dunning-Kruger where they're like, oh, I've learned some stuff. Like, maybe their tone, maybe I'm misunderstanding their tone, but it feels like they have the right idea, but they've just exaggerated so much. My Blade Vortex thing that I played last league, didn't have all these things, and it was extremely tanky. Like, it would die sometimes, but it certainly didn't have all of these. This thing like hardly ever died. The only thing, I don't actually remember what would kill it. It was just if you clicked too many alters. If you just clicked too many alters and had the wrong map mods, it would get a bit wrecked. But like, other than that. And then Lily replied, oh, Jung, what's the benchmarking these days for budget builds in PoE? Feels like Ubers are too easy, but tier 17s are too difficult. Ubers are too easy on a league start? Budget build? I don't know, man. Even if you could give a number, like you could say 20 divs, but then good luck trying to justify what 20 divs is, because you're going to get absolutely railed. It's not delusional, it's just like someone who's extremely good at the game. We're not that good. We're not that good, Jung. And then Lily had a response to all of this defense drama. Cooked take. I love it. Defense in PoE is more flexible than it's ever been. Dying randomly equals skill issue. Only downside is suppression, almost always needed. Viable defensive setups. Mom, Zibakwa, CI, armor evasion, pure armor evasion, Fizz's Alley, low life, petrified blood, transcendence, more. Yeah, I actually put it pretty well. I still think suppression is too strong. But, oh, this person agrees. The issue is that you can't just focus on 1 or 2 classic defenses. I'm a knight and wear armor means you are dead. I'm the lithe assassin and dodge means you're dead. Do you want the perspective of a scrub softcore streamer? I'm sure you do. You're absolutely dying to get my point of view. This is how I think about defenses, all right? This is my benchmark. And I'm curious to see what people think. But this is what I think, okay? IRHAM. There is more to it. And we spoke a little bit about this in Discord yesterday. I'd probably say also speed, GG, and K. Okay, wait, so we'll go through it, right? So we have immunity, recovery, HP, avoidance, mitigation, and then the extra stuff is just, actually I wouldn't put that as S. I'd put it as like M for like mobility, and then knowledge, and then just get good. Like actually just be good at the game and know what the fuck you're doing. And you could put in D for damage. But these are the primary ones that I think of when I'm doing my builds. And I want to try and cover all of these in some way or another. Unironically, this is a problem due to the Deadeye and bows are massively overpowered and people get too used to the... Yes, yeah. It's funny because bows were like so underutilized for such a long time. And suddenly just had such a huge comeback. So immunity, this is just like ailment avoidance, CB, poison. B is for Ben. Yeah, just BB, B-Ben. Stun immunity. Obviously you don't need all of these, but you could have like ailment, I guess we should say ailment immunity, right? Now this one, recovery, this is the one that almost everyone fucks up, and that's why everyone dies, in softcore at least. Again, this is like a softcore Andy perspective. Recovery. I would say there's like 2 types of recovery. You have like active and passive recovery. So you have like life regen, which is passive, and then like leech, which is active, which means you have to be hitting something. Recoup is probably also active. Like something has to be happening for it to work. I should just say regen instead of life regen. This is the thing everyone forgets, man. This is what makes you dead. And then also HP, just like how much life you have. Percent life on tree. Life on gear. And then avoidance. Avoidance, things like evasion. I don't know if you put like ailment avoidance on there. Probably block, regen, life on hit, leech, petrified blood, progenesis, dissolution. Yeah, those as well. I mean, this is not like a comprehensive list. Progenesis, PB, dissolution. Block counts as avoidance unless you've taken glancing blows. In that case, then it would be mitigation. You could do life on block, that kind of thing. Fizz taken as, that's mitigation, kind of, right? We can go to this. So this is like resistances, armor, fizz taken as, suppression. So avoidance is stuff that like you avoid taking damage from something. So, or like you avoid being affected by something. So less damage taken. I think there are from Tempered by War. That's one. Avoidance, I guess you could put stuff like freeze under avoidance if you're freezing stuff. Mitigation, like fortify. There's obviously more. And then obviously these things matter, like movement speed, cannot be slowed, that kind of stuff. Get good. You know, just don't stand in the shit. Damage. Just damage, clear, AoE, single target, that helps a lot. Just kill the whole screen. Yeah, crit reduction. There's so many things. You don't have to do all of these. You can make like a sub layer of these to like have examples of where you can get these things, but there's like tons of stuff. HP, you could also say like ES. So all of these things that like Lily lists kind of fall under that. The majority of deaths are 2 things: dot being applied too quickly, yeah, and crits you don't see due to visual clutter. Exactly. Yeah. So dots are the things that kill most people. Most people will, when they say they struggle with deaths, is usually dots because they just don't have like good passive regen. Because it's not easy to get on a lot of builds, especially if you're playing like Witch or something. Just so you don't have that passive recovery. If you put all things into a build, you probably don't have space for damage. No, so for like my Blade Vortex Pathfinder, I try to cover all these things. Well, not all of these things, but like you take out parts of them. So we can look at my Blade Vortex Pathfinder. Let's just look at the, I don't know, level 96 version. So this one, here's our avoidance layer. We have evasion rating. It's like a decent amount. We can obviously get that higher. We've got a decent amount of armor. That's like fizz mitigation. Then we have decent amount of resistances. Well, I mean, at least capped resistances and good fire resistance with Dawnbreaker, which is taken as fire, which is then reduced. So we're taking a percentage of cold, lightning, and fizz as fire and then reducing it by our fire resistance. So those are like mitigation layers and avoidance layers. We have crit immunity from the mastery over here. Cannot deal crits. Yeah, ground degens. It's rough because it's super hard to get for a lot of builds, or just to get like passive recovery. Passive recovery, not active recovery, is easier for a lot of builds. Passive recovery is a lot harder. For this build, regen, I think on this version we dropped a lot of the life regen. Previously we didn't need as much because we were using our flasks. However, on this build you could go Master Surgeon. That kind of solves that. We do have leech from our, I think it's from our gloves. No, there is leech somewhere here, but it's like not a lot. And this is a very cheap build, by the way. We can even look at the cheaper one. Obliteration, Dawnbreaker, 3.8 mil. What else? HP, how much life do we have? 3.7. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but it's a bit. Ailment immunity on this build. We are ailment immune, but I forget how. How do we get ailment immune on this? Is it with the boots? There is a way. I forget. But it's all there. It's all there. That's what I do, at least. Same thing for like Lightning Strike. During the campaign, I remember when I got to maps on my Lightning Strike build this league, I was just like, I know exactly what's going to kill me. It's going to be Corrupted Blood or like Chaos Damage. And all my deaths like early in maps, there were a few, probably like 3 or 4, all of them were that. So if you know what your defenses are, you know what can kill you, then you either need to solve those problems or you need to avoid those things. Because there are so many solutions. The other things to add is gotchas. Oh yeah, the list of things, people that break defenses. I guess you could put that under knowledge, like map mods to avoid, boss mechanics, archnem mechanics, or something like that. So if you feel like you're dying, just at least see if you have these. See if you have at least these covered, right? I remember it as IR ham. Because it just rolls off the tongue. IR ham. Do you have immunity? Do you have recovery? Do you have decent HP? Do you have some kind of avoidance layer? We need to expand this. It would be nice if we could expand this and then also have like examples. So I think the way we would do that is like have it like this and then write, you know, life regen, enduring cry. Well, enduring cry would be active regen. You could also do flasks. Flasks. Cure AoE damage. Single target. Anyway, thanks for coming to my TED Talk.